Alright, the PTR server just updated. Let's take a look at the win 5-star first. So Fumitsuki has a captain ability HP for PvP. Her S1 has a multiplier 130% and also buff block. Wow, that's super low. Below 10% at the end of their turn, launches a pursuit attack with ability 1. If she has above 50% HP, then gains Bamboozle for 1 turn at the end of her turn. So Bamboozle is basic abilities inflict stun on target for 1 turn, won't miss and can't be resisted. After inflicting stun, Fumitsuki cannot inflict stun on the target during the next turn. S3 is attacks all enemies 100% of attack, inflicts disease and crit rate down. For 2 turns, heals all allies, healing is equals to 15% of max HP. If an enemy SP is below 50% HP, she gains shield and the shield strength is equals to 60% of HP. This is Ascension, Defense, Resist and HP. Yeah, she seems kinda underwhelming. Let's take a look at her Divinate. 100% chance of gaining shield for 1 turn at start of a round, which is equals to 30% max HP. Yeah, she's gonna be mostly used for PvP, and I don't think she's gonna be that good for anything else in PvE. And I think you need to have her at R6 for her to really shine in PvP, because for her to really shine in PvP, you kind of need to have this bamboozled buff throughout the match. If it's just for 1 turn, you kind of need to rely on her to proc an Avatara. Otherwise, she's not really gonna do anything for you. Like her counters, her pursuit doesn't really do much because she's not a HP based character, and you want to build her as a sort of a support bruiser, right? And she's attack scaling, so it's a really weird Esper. Her R2 is unchanged, dispel 2 buffs from the target. Yeah. R4 is also unchanged, and then R6 is gains bamboozle throughout the combat. Yeah, this is where you kind of want her to be at when you use her in PvP. Yeah, she seems kind of underwhelming. Let's take a look at the rival runes. They give her, no attack, no crit damage, and just HP, so her pursuits aren't really gonna do much in PvP. Ikki, okay, he has a captain ability of, okay, this is nice, 30% attack for every content. S1 multiplier, attacks one enemy 3 times, damage per hit is equals to 20%, 40% and 60% separately, so 120%. Oh, no, if you level it up, it's 20, 40, so 60, 160% if you max it out. Each hit has a chance of stealing 1 buff with an 80% chance. Okay, alright, now comes the the essay right here. Alright, let's just glimpse through it. Starts with Envious Moon. Envious Moon is active, he gains stealth. He's also immune to petrification. Each time enemy they take 50% of its attack whenever they attack or counter attack. Okay, that's bearable. I'm gonna see if this one can crit. If this one can crit, he's gonna be super overpowered. Envious Moon always marks the enemy who has added the most stack of Envious Moon with Moon Scar. At 4 stacks of Waxing Moon, he dispels all control effects and casts Fickle Moon. Okay, I think this is new. Dispel all control effects. And then at 8 stacks he casts again, he dispels all control effects and casts Lunatic. Yeah, this is new, I think, the dispel all control effects. And then at 12 stacks again, dispel all control effects, and then gain Sleep No More and also cast Pale Fire Snatched. So Fickle Moon, dispel all enemy buffs, and reduces their AP by 20%, won't miss and can't be resisted. Allies with stealth gain 25% AP. So right now we don't really have that many Espers that has stealth in their kit other than like Elaine and Intisar, so this will only really benefit him. But this dispel all enemy buffs is going to be pretty insane, because you only need like 4 stacks, right, for this to happen. And then Pale Fire Snatch is when he casts the Lunatic. Let's go to Lunatic first, because this is 8 stacks. Reduces all enemies max HP by 30%, won't miss, can't be resisted again, gets attack up and crit damage up, and shield for 3 turns. Shield strength is equals to 250% of attack. This is almost the same as Ggez, if I'm not mistaken. Then 8 stacks is Pale Fire Snatch. Attacks all enemies, damage is equals to 50% of attack, then randomly deals single target attack. Damage 5 times, damage per hit is equals to 30% of attack. Damage dealt to the same target plus 10% each time. Prioritizes attacking unit marked with Moon Scar. So if you target the same enemy like all 5 times, that's gonna do what? 330% nuke when you get to 12 stacks, that is. Oh, and this is without even skill ups. So if you have skill ups, then the Pale Fire Snatch single target damage is increased to 40%. So now you're doing 40% to that single target, and then the AoE is also gonna do 70% now. And then also the damage dealt to the same target is now doing 15% each time. So now, how much is that? The single target damage is going to go up to 465% damage. And then plus this with the AoE attack as well, 500% nuke on Ana. That is insanely high. Sleep No More is when taking little damage. Ikki consumes Sleep No More to prevent himself from dying, dispel all his debuff, recover 100%, recover HP to 100% and get invisible for 2 no way. I thought it was just gonna be 1 turn of invincibility. What the hell? Ends Envious Moon and loses all Waxing Moon. 2 turns invincibility. His S3 is dispels all debuffs from Ikki, attacks all enemies 3 times. Damage is 30% of attack, and then recover HP equals to 30% of damage dealt. If he doesn't have Envious Moon, he activates Envious Moon. And also this ability won't be affected by anything. This is the rest of his Ascension, crit damage, HP, and crit rate. That's weird, HP. His cooldown on S3 has a 4 turn cooldown and 120% total multiplier. Divinate, let's take a look. When Envious Moon deals damage, 100% on inflicting disease. Are you kidding me? So this guy is also going to be countering R6 Lian with this 100% disease debuff whenever his Envious Moon deals damage, because this one is super easy to deal damage, right? Whenever the enemies attack you, they will just take damage based on his attack. So he's going to be spreading that disease debuff like constantly. Alright, his Resonance, let's see, did they change his R1? No. So his R1 is still at the start of combat, gains Sleep No More. R2 is also the same when he casts his S1. He gains 1 Waxing Moon. R4 is also the same. If an ability's damage is higher than 35% of max HP, it will do 15% of target's max HP as well. Alright, R6 is also unchanged. The effects of Sleep No More has changed, and Envious Moon no longer ends. So now he will cycle through the Sleep No More. So if you don't have any buff stripper in your team, he will solo your entire team when he is at R6, because this is the 2 turn of invincibility. So whenever you keep on attacking, he will keep on gaining this Envious Moon stacks, and then he will build up another Sleep No More, and then when you kill him, because he runs out of the invincibility buff, he will just have another Sleep No More and then die, and then gain another invincibility, you know, something like that, right? So yeah, this guy is gonna be crazy. Let's test him out a little bit. Alright, I want to see if his Waxing Moon stacks per hit, or is it just 1 hit? Like, if for example, if the enemy does an AoE attack, is it gonna give me like 5 stacks or just 1 stack? Alright, so his stealth buff is Golden Rim, so you cannot strip it. There we go. He casts his first Waxing Moon, and that's removing all enemy buffs and also reducing their AP, which is irresistible. I want to see if the enemy does an AoE attack, will he gain like multiple of those? And that's the second Waxing Moon. Reduces max HP damage. Okay, so no, even if the enemy does an AoE attack, he still only gains 1 stack. If he gains like multiple stacks, if the enemy does an AoE attack, then he's gonna be super mega busted and he needs a nerf. But so far, I think he still needs a nerf on his multipliers a little bit, but he seems more tame than Ana, to be honest with you. Alright, now I want to see whether his damage from the Envious Moon can crit or not, because if it can crit, 50% of his attack might not seem like a lot, but this triggers on every attack, right? And if it can crit, because it doesn't say like it's a true damage or anything, it does say in the patch notes but not here. If it can crit, then he's gonna be overpowered. It can crit! Oh my god! I think he needs a nerf already. Yeah, 50%, again, it doesn't seem like a lot, right? But if you can crit on all of those attacks, that's insane. You have like 300% crit damage on him, and then when you fully build him out, he's gonna have like maybe like 4,000 attack. 4,000 attack, 50% of that is 2,000, and then 300% crit damage is what? 6,000 damage on every hit? That's kind of cancer. And it's on counter attacks as well. It's not just your regular attacks. It's going to trigger on every counter attack. Not only is it going to do just damage, right? It's also going to apply disease debuff if you have his divinate. So it's going to be completely cancer in PvP. You can use him to go up against R6 Lian. R6 Lian is going to be super down bad when you go up against him, unless you have like a immunity buff on your units. And even with immunity buff, he does remove all buffs from the enemy with his 4 stacks of Waxing Moon, which is the Fickle Moon, right? Dispels all enemy buffs and reduces all enemies AP and cannot be missed and resisted. So yeah, it's gonna be super cancer. Alright, one more thing I want to show you is that you probably won't be running him with Cecilia if you don't have his R1, because if he dies, he will lose this Envious Moon, and when he revives, he doesn't regain it until he casts his S3, which means he cannot cycle his cheat death mechanic, right? So right here, hopefully he dies right here. Yeah, he dies, he gets revived, but he gets removed from the Envious Moon. So he just goes back to being dying. He will only gain that Envious Moon when he casts his S3. So that's one problem that you can have with him. But let's see what happens if I were to run, instead of maybe Cecilia, if I were to run Mavis instead. Alright, with Mavis in the team, I think he keeps the Envious Moon and he keeps on doing damage to the enemies, and then he can build up his revive mechanic that way, right? Because with Cecilia, you actually die with this guy, and when he gets revived, he will no longer have that Envious Moon, and he cannot really build up his thing again. So with Mavis, you still retain the Envious Moon effect because you're not really dying, right? Okay, 12 stacks. So it's gonna do a lot of. That's the first AoE attack. Oh, never mind. Oh, he died. So he gains the invincibility, and it does seem like he's affected by the HP decreasing in PvP. So the revive that he gets will be lower gradually, and it does seem to me like the enemies don't need to attack you, they just need to take a turn for him to gain 1 stack of that Envious Moon. So right here, the Alexa only did like a buff card instead of an attack, but I still got 1 stack of the Waxing Moon. So you don't really need to attack per se, you just need to move or get a turn for him to get a stacks. For him to get a stack of Waxing Moon, right? Let me show you again. When the Alexa does her S2, which is not an attack, he still gains one stack of Waxing Moon, see? So, yeah. Okay, let's put it at 1 time speed. He's gonna do a lot of attacks on Xuanpin. Or not Xuanpin, on Ana. There we go. Again, he can counter Ana pretty well. This is just level 1, by the way. Because before he does all of these nukes on Ana, he's also applying disease debuff on Ana, which means Ana will have low HP because Ana will keep on counter attacking, right? She will keep on counter attacking, she will keep on, doing damage to you because she cycles like crazy. So with the disease debuff on Ana, when you get to 8 stacks of Waxing Moon on this guy, he will reduce Ana's max HP cap by 30%, which means he's gonna easily one-shot Ana when he gets to 12 stacks and when he casts his Pale Fire Snatched. Again, I can't say for certain he's gonna be better than Ana. He can counter Ana very well. Again, this is just level 1, right? But the PTR server, I don't have enough stuff to level him up right now. I will summon on him on my main account to see how good he is. Maybe at R1. but first I'll try him at R0. But so far, if you do have him at R1, R0, like I said, you don't really want him to be on a tank team unless you have Mavis in the team, so that he doesn't die. You don't want him to die at all. Once he dies, he loses all of this Waxing Moon or Envious Moon buff. He's no longer stealth, which means the enemies can target him, and he will no longer build up this Waxing Moon stacks, and he cannot get this sleep no more throughout the fight until he casts his S3, right? If you have him at R0, you kind of want him to be run in a speedy team, so maybe like Tolan, R2 Ethan, and then this guy, so that you can get the Envious Moon effect on the enemy counter attacks, because this guy doesn't really do much on his turn. Look at his turn, right? His turn, he does like 120% of AoE damage with the Envious Moon, but it has 0 effects. It literally just dispels all debuffs from him, and then that's it. And then his passive entirely relies on the enemy doing an attack onto you to get this Waxing Moon, unless you have him at R2, right? At R2, he does gain the Waxing Moon when he casts his S1, but again, with his S1, it does pretty good damage. It is really good damage, right? 160% of damage with buff stealing, but that's pretty much it. So he's not really gonna do much in his turn. He's doing much more when he's not on his turn, when the enemies attack you. Again, there's a little bit of a dilemma with this guy. You want him to be run in a tank team so that you can build him extremely slow to proc his passive, to proc this 50% of his attack, and then, you know, do a bunch of attacks. But at the same time, if you run him in a tank team without Mavis, he can just get one-shotted by an AoE attack, and he will no longer do any of this stuff on his passive. But when he gets rolling, when he gets to like 4 stacks, which is pretty easy, as I showed you just now, the enemies need to take a turn, and that's about it. You don't really need to attack him, you don't really need to do an attack. All you need to do is take a turn, and then he gets a stack, right? So when he gets to 4 stacks, he's already removing all buffs from the enemy, and then also reducing their AP. And then at 8 stacks, he already does the AoE max HP cap reduce, and also gains attack up and crit damage up. The shield is okay, it does save you from AoE attacks a little bit. And then at 12 stacks, you can just one-shot that one Esper, right? Yeah, again, a little bit of a dilemma. You kind of want him to be run in a tank team, but without his R1, he does easily. And if you run him in a speed cleave team, he doesn't do much in his turn, because he's really just doing 120% damage on his S3 with no effects, and then he's doing 160% of damage on his S1 that steals buff. This is nice actually. Alright, I'm gonna try something out with this new Esper. I'm just gonna do one test on her because she doesn't really warrant that many testing. I want to see if her passive works on bossing contests. If it does, then she could be really good. But it does say that the enemy needs to be below 10%, which is super low, and the boss in this game doesn't have any HP, right? So if they don't have any HP, they technically can't get any lower than 10% HP, which means she will just not work on bossing contents. Yeah, so she doesn't pursue attacks on bossing content, so she's probably gonna be useless in PvE, because all she does is stuns and heals the ally by 15% of her HP. She seems like a unit that should be released like 2 years ago, to be honest with you. But her PvP capability, I think, is gonna be pretty high. If you do have her at R6, only at R6. If she's below anything below R6, I think she's gonna be kind of useless. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna do some further testing on Ikki. I can't say for certain for now he is better than Ana, because Ana just has too much in her kit with all the revives. This guy doesn't even have a revive at the start of combat until you get him to R1, right? So yeah, his Divinate is good. It's to counter R6 Lian and also Ana in a way, because Ana does lifesteal with her S1. So if you can apply disease debuff on her, she cannot heal anymore unless the enemy has a cleanser. But since this is, you know, easily proccable, you just need for his passive to proc, which is 50% of his attack when the enemies attack or get counter attack. This is super easy to proc, but the problem is keeping him alive, right? If the enemy has like one strong nuker, AoE nuker, then he just gets wiped. At R0 though, I can say for certain Ana is going to be more flexible than him, because Ana can be run in a speed team, in a tank team, in a control team. Any team that you want to run, Ana can be slot into that team. Whereas this guy, without his R1, like I mentioned multiple times, you can't really run him in a tank team that runs Cecilia, because Cecilia revives him and he will lose all of this envious moon stacks, and he will just become a normal unit at that point, because he's not going to be counter-attacking with his 50% of attack. He's not going to be reviving. He's not going to be doing all of this stuff. You cannot really run Cecilia with him and expect him to work that well. So yeah, that's about it. Ciao.